Earlier this year, I drove the 2025 redesigned 6th generation Toyota 4Runner. That was a base SR5 grade, and I enjoyed it so much, and I thought it provided such a great value that I put it right at the top of my spreadsheet. Now this time around, I have my hands on one of the most expensive 4Runners ever made. This is the TRD PRO variant. This one's equipped over $73,000. After we're done reviewing the TRD PRO today, we're gonna look for deals in my area on the 4Runner, and then after that, we're going to put it on the spreadsheet. Where is it gonna stack up? Is it above the Land Cruiser? Is it below the SR5 4Runner? Well, let's find out. Underneath the TRD PRO 4Runner, we have one powertrain. Gone is the V6, and now for this TRD PRO, is a 2.4 liter turbo 4-cylinder hybrid, 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. This same powertrain was in the Land Cruiser that I tested a couple weeks ago. That Land Cruiser stickered for, I want to say, about the same, maybe slightly less than this hopped up 4Runner. The SR5 grade that I drove only has the non-hybrid version of this iForce Max. It has 275 or so horsepower and 317 pound-feet of torque. Both powertrains are mated to an 8-speed auto. Both of them are rear-wheel drive standard, but you have a transfer case to put it into 4 high and 4 low, for example. Whereas the Land Cruiser is full-time 4x4, which has its benefits, absolutely. Fuel economy is what hybrids do well, but I'm only seeing about 20 miles per gallon this week on this hybrid. Man, there is a lot going on with this front end. First of all, this TRD PRO color is called Mud Bath for 2025. We have the Toyota Heritage lettering up front. We have amber daytime running lights. These headlight capsules are definitely the upgraded over something like the base SR5. We also have rigid industry fog lights, but you still have fog lights even on a base SR5. Now the TRD PRO has this unique 20-inch light bar. I think that the Trailhunter might as well, but this light bar can only be enabled if you put your high beams on, but that turns off your fog lights. So there's no way to put all your fancy lights on at the same time that I'm aware of. Now the front end of the 4Runner, I don't think looks great. That's just my personal opinion. I think it looks worse than the outgoing 4Runner. The Tacoma looks better, the Sequoia looks better. This is in the same league as the Tundra with an ugly front end. It's almost like they made this ugly to save the Land Cruiser. Every TRD PRO comes with 33-inch all-terrain tires, 18-inch Toyota TRD PRO lettered wheels here. But the suspension is what's special as well. We have Fox shocks that are 3-way selectable, but they're all manual switches on the shock itself, and they're in the softest setting for today's review. We have the red control arms and the red springs inside as well, which provide a really nice aesthetic flair. I think the side of the TRD PRO 4Runner is one of its best angles. You get the full breadth of the height of the vehicle. It has a 10 inches of ground clearance, an extra inch compared to a base SR5. You get the meatiness of the tires. You get these glossy black overarches, which I know is not that popular of an opinion because if you look at the Trailhunter, they're matte, and matte is going to handle better with scratches and fading and that sort of thing. The glossy black on the overarches, however, does match the side mirrors and the door handles. Up top, we have the optional roof rack system, and the glossy black spoiler in the back looks quite cool. Speaking of cool, this is probably the coolest thing with the exterior design of the 4Runner, and that's this wraparound ceiling window that was first introduced with the first generation 4Runner in the 80s. Now on the back of the 4Runner, we have a big spare tire on the bottom, a really handsome tow hitch receiver. I'm a big fan of this compared to that diaper cover on the back of the Land Cruiser. TRD PRO stamped into the liftgate iForce Max to let you know it's the hybrid. And we have a hidden windshield wiper, which it has to be because this rear window does fold down. You have 2 cameras back here, one for your digital rearview mirror, one for your backup camera. On the inside here, you see how high this floor is. Because it is a hybrid, they have to put the battery somewhere. Also, this 4Runner cannot come with this hybrid with a third row. You can get a third row on a base SR5 and a limited, if I remember right. As a result, you still have cup holders back here for a potential third row and other trims. You also have an optional air compressor back here. If you decide to deflate your tires a little bit on the trail, you can air them up afterwards. I like the amount of overlanding potential in the back because I have a 2400 watt accessory power outlet. Love that. And I also have 6 lights back here, 2 on the lift gate and 2 on each side to light up at night to see your belongings on the inside. Of course, I can fold the seats down 60-40 if I need to. Getting into the back seat here, it is quite high, but so is the SR5, all right? It doesn't feel that much different, an extra inch of ground clearance. It's almost imperceivable getting in. For my little kids though, that get into the back of this thing, they might be able to notice how high it is. And that's why I don't like picking them up from Carline with this truck. I like dropping them off because they can kind of just fall out of here. They do have a handle to help them get in. I have map pockets on each side. I have vents in the back, USB-Cs, an additional AC power outlet here. Headroom is good, but if I lean forward, I bump my head because there's this drop down in the ceiling for the sunroof to slide into. Legroom I think is perfectly fine unless you're gonna be like 6'4" plus. The back seat also has adjustable reclining cushions. So pretty decent experience back here, much better than the TRD Tacoma. Watch my review on that unusable back seat. Inside of the TRD Pro, you're getting your TRD Pro money's worth. I mean, these seats don't say TRD Pro on the headrest or anything, but I have this Relief Toyota on the dash. I have this large TRD Pro shifter, TRD Pro stop button. We also have the TRD Pro on the steering wheel and on the armrest. But this is kind of like that Deadpool edition on the inside. Like I mentioned, the outside, you might need to get black to finish that Deadpool theme. My only con with this massive 14-inch screen is that the data port for the USB is on the side of it. Even though I have 2 more USBs down here, they are high wattage, but they're charging only. This is only data port. It's working wirelessly right now for my Android Auto, which I'm fine with. And I like the placement for the wireless charger, but like I said, I prefer to be wired. And for some reason, when I'm listening to YouTube podcasts and I try to adjust the volume, it stops playing my podcast, kicks back over to Amazon Music, and increases the volume on my Amazon Music and stops my YouTube podcast. So Toyota's software here is hit or miss. I just got out of the Camry last week. I didn't have that issue at all. And then here in the 4Runner, assuming this is the same software, it kicks me out of my podcast when I put the volume down when my phone is connected. It's crazy. But I love the real estate of this 14-inch screen. The amount of like maps I have is just fantastic. Volume knob, fantastic. Rotary dials for climate control, fantastic. Real buttons for heated and ventilated seats. Even fan control has a switch. All right, auto works really well. I have a heated steering wheel. Real buttons, real simple operation here with this screen. I haven't messed with this 12-inch screen behind the steering wheel since day one because it's difficult to customize. All right, the base SR5 has a 7-inch screen. It's so much easier to work with than this 12-inch screen. So I just set it before I start driving because operating this screen and customizing it while you're driving is a nightmare. You have to hold down the OK button to change the settings and then move around on the screen to change that part of the screen. And if that setting isn't available in that part of the screen, you then have to bring the vehicle to a stop to enable, let's say, fuel economy to pop up on a certain part of the screen. It's a frustrating experience. And once I have it set, I don't mess with it at all. Radar cruise control is good here. I don't have a head-up display. That's something I feel like the Land Cruiser has. Actually, I know the Land Cruiser has. It's unfortunate that I don't have it here on this really expensive truck. I have essentially everything else. Downhill ascent, you have crawl control, all with this. Here's your 4 high, 4 low. This is not full-time 4x4 like the Land Cruiser. That's a benefit to the Land Cruiser in my opinion, and I'm seeing the same sort of fuel economy. However, this has much bigger tires than the Land Cruiser I drove, so yeah, that might explain it. The rear differential lock is right here, the button for it. You have the front stabilizer bar disconnect right here. Both of those things are on the Land Cruiser, but the Land Cruiser also had a center differential lock on top of that. being that it's full-time 4x4. All right, so the 4Runner is going to be fine, has great off-roading potential. I mean, its potential is almost maximized here in the TRD Pro with these big tires and the shocks and the amount of approach angle and departure angle and the 10 inches of ground clearance. All that is great. I'm not going to be driving it off-road. All right, I'm going to be driving it on-road, so let's hit the road. 0 to 60 in the 4Runner TRD Pro. .3 seconds. It's almost an entire second behind the 4Runner SR5 with a lot less power and torque. Why is this a whole second slower 0 to 60 than a cheaper, less powerful 4Runner? Well, it comes down to weight. This weighs almost 800 pounds more than an SR5. And then we have these really fat, big, juicy tires that are going to eat into the acceleration here. All right. Most people who buy an SR5, they might put big tires on it. And if they do, that's going to hurt the acceleration as well. So I bet, you know, as we get back into the pedal here, what I have been enjoying this week with this truck is the torque. I'm almost never full throttle on it because the torque on it is just fantastic. It's always there, always available with the electric motor assist, almost 200 pound-feet of torque coming from that electric motor. And then you have the 317 pound-feet of torque coming from the 4-cylinder. And it's just a fantastic daily driving vehicle overall. You know, ride quality, it's on the firm end despite the shocks being set to the softest setting. It's a bit jittery. I sit up really high. I think people would like that. You know, people who like body on frame SUVs, the higher the better almost. You know, so you have to work with that jittery rear axle, solid rear axle. That is a part of Toyota's F platform. All right. But I feel like the ride quality was a little bit better in the Land Cruiser. And what do I think about quiet in here? I thought these tires would be loud as hell. They are not. These tires are actually really quiet. The windows keep a ton of noise out. These are acoustic glass windows. Same thing with the windshield in here. The loudest thing is the Drving exhaust. This TRD Pro comes with a TRD tuned exhaust, and like the 5th generation 4Runner before it in TRD Pro, guys, it is Drving. I'm going about 1400 RPM. Hear the exhaust. It is loudest around, if I can get to it, it's not going to do it because I'm not going to the right speed, but around 60 miles an hour, you're at about 1800 RPM or so, if I remember right. And it's much dronier at around 1800 RPM than it is here at about 1500 RPM. The ergonomics, like I mentioned, are fantastic in the front. It does feel a bit claustrophobic. It doesn't feel roomy whatsoever. These armrests have very little padding in them. I would expect more. And at least the top of the door trim here on the TRD Pro has a soft padding. If you want to roll down the window, stick your arm out, it's soft, but you know, the armrest could use a bit more padding here. The seats are fine though. I have no issues with these ventilated seats. That torque, man, you don't have to work the pedal very hard. It does what you want when you want it to. Blind spots are very little, but even then I have blind spot monitor. I will say at higher speeds, this is quieter than a Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser's windshield is just so upright, you know, it's just a brick flying down the highway at that point. The A-pillars here, while not as aesthetically pleasing compared to a Land Cruiser, it makes for a better driving experience, a quieter experience, less wind noise, especially at higher speeds. How to make that yellow. All right, nothing but a G thing is actually hitting really hard here. It's not the best or richest sounding bass, but I'm not disappointed with this JBL audio in the 4Runner. They did a good job. And the speaker is ejectable, so you can have a wireless Bluetooth speaker with you if you decide to go off of the beaten path. If you're camping, then maybe you can take that speaker with you as you go hiking or something. So that's pretty cool. And I like that added functionality. It's not just a better sound system in the car, but you can take it with you. Thrilled and real deal Holyfield. Now, I had no problems with the SR5's non-hybrid idling at stoplights. There's no start-stop engine technology on the base SR5, so it's not gonna like turn off and turn on and ruin the experience for you. It idles fairly smooth in that truck. Here in the hybrid though, it takes it to the next level, and I'm gonna get into that torque because I wanna get around this truck. Because it's a hybrid, the engine will just shut off at a stop as long as there's enough charge on the battery and as long as you're not cranking the AC too hard. So I like that. Sitting in quiet, no vibrations coming through. You still have that cold AC. That's one of the best things about the hybrid. Now, even though this still has the same powertrain as the Trailhunter version of the 4Runner, it does not have the same fun factor to it. And I personally love the snorkel on the Trailhunter, and I love the sound that it makes. I have a little bit of turbo sound here. It's pretty subdued, especially compared to the Trailhunter, but it's like equal parts turbo hiss, equal parts electric motor whine, and then you have the exhaust note in the back, so you get this like triple symphony going on. I would rather listen to the snorkel. The snorkel is not always breathing heavy in that Trailhunter, and if I remember right, the ride quality is a little bit better in the Trailhunter too, with the softer Old Man Emu overlanding shocks. One last thing before we head into the office as it's coming to the stop here. There's no funny business with this hybrid as you come to the stop. The engine will turn off some of the time, which is a very quiet experience, and you don't notice the engine turning off other than maybe the lack of a droning exhaust note. But there's no obtrusive or intrusive, I should say, downshifts happening. It's just a really, really smooth experience and a strong brake feel all the way to a stop. So I enjoy bringing this big, heavy SUV to a stop despite it being big and heavy. Like they just nailed the driving dynamics of this truck overall. It handles well enough, not as well as the SR5. It is smooth. It's quiet. Besides the droning exhaust, it's fairly efficient for what it is. Like 20 miles per gallon with 33-inch tires, that's not too bad. All right, so let's head in the office. Let's look for deals. And how is this a TRD Pro at $73,000? How's it going to stack up on the spreadsheet?
Time to deal hunt for the 4Runner in my area now. I guess if we start with the hybrid.
All right, looking at the hybrid 4Runner TRD Pro, there's one in my area. It's sort of on the East Coast. It's $5,000 over MSRP. I mean, at MSRP, I wouldn't touch it. What about some of the other models, okay, that have this powertrain? Well, let's go ahead and deselect TRD Pro. If you want a TRD off-road, which does not have a front stabilizer bar disconnect, for example, but it does have the rear locking diff, I can get it for about 55, mid-50s is what I'm seeing, but you're still seeing huge markups. The Trailhunter seems to be more widely available. Interesting. I would take, like I said, if I had $70,000 and I really wanted to buy a 4Runner and the coolest guys, to me, it's the Trailhunter. Better ride, cooler wheels, better interior. The snorkel's awesome. It's just more my speed. All right. But what's more my speed is an SR5, 100%. Way better. And you can customize it however you want. And you can keep $30,000 in your pocket. This is the 4Runner to get. Just like the Camry LE is a Camry to get, or the SE, you know, if you can't stand the dorky wheels, but the LE is like, it's like a Lexus in disguise. It's so good. This is essentially a 1958 Land Cruiser without a hybrid. Okay, it's really, really good, really fast, or should I say really torquey. It's fun. It handles well. It's priced just right. The cloth seats breathe well. Fuel economy is about the same as the hybrid. And, you know, get it with the Heritage Blue or whatever this is. I think it looks great. Look, there are discounts. $2,000 discount on an SR5. Widely available. Just take off the front air dam and you got yourself an off-roading machine. However, I need to select four-wheel drive because you can get these in rear-wheel drive. And this one is 4x4 and it's still $2,000 off of MSRP. Okay,
I would also, if I'm spending over $70,000 on a Toyota body on frame SUV, I would pick a Land Cruiser without hesitation over the 4Runner. I think it looks infinitely better. Now, the 4Runner is quieter at speed. At under, I would say 50 miles an hour, the Land Cruiser probably has the edge, but at the highway, the 4Runner is quieter. The Land Cruiser looks just so much better, more boxy, more retro looking. I'm a big sucker for the design. The interior is better than the 4Runners. Oh man, I don't think they make it in yellow like this, but I would take it in yellow. And the 1958, would I rather have a 1958 Land Cruiser over a TRD Pro 4Runner? I don't know. That one's too tough to call, but we know this one's like $14,000 less. For $70,000 though, I would be picking this over a Land Cruiser though. This is the Lexus GX, same J250 Prado platform, and it has twin turbo V6. It kicks the pants off of the rest of the F platform powertrains that are on this smaller, it's not really smaller, but that are not on the full-size LX or Land Cruiser 300. Okay, so slightly detuned twin turbo V6 here compared to the LX, for example, but 10-speed auto is also fantastic in this. This is full-time 4x4 as well, like the J250 Prado. So yeah, GX all day long over the rest of them. Here's something that might make you guys cringe if you're Toyota diehards, but I'm telling you, I had more fun driving this vehicle earlier this year, which was the Wrangler 4xe Willys 1941 edition. The awesome wheels. It has a plug-in hybrid powertrain. If you're looking at electrification, this plug-in hybrid powertrain's fantastic. You get 20-25 miles of electric range, so you're going to be saving on fuel. And in terms of powertrain, it feels about the same in terms of torquiness with the gasoline engine running. But again, this can run in full electric, which the Land Cruiser can only do for like 2 miles an hour. Like it's very, very limited. While you're decelerating, it can go in full electric. If you're coasting, it can go in full electric or idling. But this will actually drive just fine under full electric. Keeping up with traffic. Any more than that, you're going to need the little 2-liter turbo to chip in. And the 2-liter turbo in here is, I would say, a smoother engine than Toyota's, but not quite as punchy, not quite as torquey, but still had more fun. And the Willys Jeep, and it's about 20 grand less expensive with discounts than the 4Runner I drove today. So where's the 4Runner fit? It's not a pay me to drive. I enjoyed driving it. It is not necessarily a fire sale only. Would I pay full MSRP? Personally, no. But, some people said I need to have something between solid buy and fire sale only. I don't think I'm going to. So that's why I just put it into the B category. All right. The SR5 4Runner is S tier. There's no doubt. The price to performance is great, and it does things better than this TRD Pro does. These two vehicles, the Jeep 4xe Willys Wrangler and a Land Cruiser, enjoyed those both more than this 4Runner. And well, like the Jeep you can get for 20 grand less than this 4Runner, for example. All right, so let's see here. What did I have to say about this TRD Pro? It's tough looking. The front end's kind of ugly. It's capable. It has great torque. It's droney with that exhaust note. I wish it was full-time 4x4 and this, guys. And the base SR5, I don't need it. All right, I'm happy to be in rear-wheel drive. But when you're in this, guys, I think it would be beneficial to have full-time 4x4. But they didn't do it. You can still get full-time 4x4 in the 4Runner in the limited trim. So it's available, but it's kind of in this weird like luxury trim sort of thing. It's bizarre. And the vehicle is just really, really expensive. So it would be very low on my list, and it's somewhere in the same ballpark as the TRD Pro Tacoma, except I have a more usable backseat since I don't have those crazy isodynamic seats that the Tacoma has. All right, so it's less compromised than a TRD Pro Tacoma, but it is still just so expensive, and it's hard for me to be able to recommend. But for people who have bags of money and don't want to have to worry about aftermarket, I think that's a part of the fun personally. But some people just like to buy it ready to go and they don't have to do anything to it. The TRD Pro is going to be able to do that for you, no problem. All right. But just give me an SR5. I'll keep 30K in the bank. And this vehicle is going to be able to off-road perfectly fine. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more coverage. If you enjoyed it, make sure to hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next Toyota update. Have a great day.